Hey guys, my name is Damian Haynes, and I say we get straight to it. House Republicans have announced that they're going to be voting on a bill that abolishes the IRS and eliminates the income tax. This is likely to pass the House, but it's not going to pass the Senate because Democrats are going to vote against it. That, of course, is a good thing because it's going to prove once again that the Democrats don't support the middle class and lower class. They're going to have to show that they're in favor of the IRS and the income tax, both of which affect the lower income brackets more than they affect the higher income brackets. So while it's disappointing that we won't be able to get rid of the IRS we won't be able to get rid of the income tax, it's going to be amusing to watch the Democrats have to vote in favor of the IRS and the income tax. Now, with the income tax specifically, if you're wondering why that affects lower income brackets more than it affects the higher income brackets, it's because if you're rich, what you have isn't income, you have assets. So if you have a business, you have stocks, you have buildings, etc. So what you do is you take a loan out on those buildings, on those assets, and use that loan to buy your clothes, buy your food, buy your cars, buy your home, etc. You're never really making an income in the first place. All you have is loans and assets, which aren't taxable in the same way that income is. Now, with the IRS specifically, the IRS doesn't audit rich people as much as it audits poor. And there's a very specific reason for that. Is frankly because the rich people can afford lawyers and accountants. If you can afford a lawyer and an accountant, it's going to be too expensive for the IRS to audit you and battle you for the money they think they owe you, that you owe them. I'm sorry, because they're going to have to go to the court. It's going to be lengthy. It's going to take forever. It's going to cost the government too much time and too much of their resources to sue the rich for the income they think they deserve, the taxes they deserve. So what does the IRS do? They audit the poor. The poor can't afford a lawyer. If you make $40,000 a year, a lawyer is going to be more expensive than the IRS. So you're just going to pay the IRS, and the IRS is going to bugger off and go bug someone else down the neighborhood. And they're never going to show up at your boss's house. They're never going to show up at Jeff Bezos' house and go, hey, you owe us money. Where's our money? Because it's too expensive. Now, what's the income tax specifically? Say if you make $40,000 a year, you're going to be paying the government around $5,000 of your income. And that's just with federal income tax. This doesn't include the state income tax or local income taxes that you're probably paying in the first place. So you lost $5,000 on your $40,000 salary just right out of the bucket, right off the line, without even a chance to spend it or choose where it goes. And that could make a massive difference in your quality of life, or paying back bills, or paying off student loans. It doesn't matter what you're paying for. But what matters is you had your $5,000 stolen from you before you even had a chance to spend it on what you wanted it to. I mean, what you wanted it to go to. And furthering on with that, just the list of things that are taxed are absurd. If you go to the car, you have to get your car registered. That's a tax. You got to get that renewed every year. That's another tax. You have to pay for your driver's license. That's a tax. You got to get that renewed. There's another tax. You have to pay when you buy clothes or food or makeup, etc. That's all tax on sales. If you buy gas, that's tax. You pay taxes on your water and energy bills, on your gas bills. It doesn't really matter. Every step of the way, when you buy something, whenever your money goes someplace, they tax it. You die, the government taxes you. And if you're like, well, the rich, when they die, it's only fair that their income's taxed. Their income was already taxed in the first place. And it's the same for you. If you were able to save $10,000 and you died, instead of that $10,000 going to your children, the government's going to come back and tax the income they already taxed once and tax it again before they pass it down to your children. So then it's $8,000, and that $2,000 difference is going to mean the world to anyone in a lower income bracket. But if you want to tax the higher income brackets, like the rich, for their estate taxes, for the inheritance tax, they're going to be making, say, $10 million passing down. And you're going to tax that, and instead of getting $10 million, their children are going to get $8 million. That $8 million, that $2 million difference, that's a lot of money, but it's not that big of a difference. Comparatively speaking, when you say 10,000 to 8,000. And so this idea that Democrats and other politicians like to claim when it comes to taxes, that we need to increase our taxes that a lot of these income taxes, estate taxes, etc., are fair and comprehensive to a equal society is just a lie, because you're not paying the same taxes comparably to the rich. The rich aren't going to be affected by income taxes. The rich aren't affected by estate taxes. And regardless of whether or not they should be paying more, how is it fair that as soon as you're making more money, someone comes over and takes the money that you've been earning away from you? So instead, this bill that's being voted on by the House Republicans to abolish the IRS and release the income tax, what it does specifically, and stated by the summary on congress.gov, is the bill imposes a national sales tax on the use or consumption in the United States of taxable property services in lieu of current income taxes, payroll taxes, and estate and gift taxes. The rates of the sales tax will be 23% in 2023. Now, of course, it does not eliminate all the taxes. As much as I or anyone else wants to get rid of all taxes altogether, it's not going to eliminate it, but it will make that more comprehensive. It's going to get rid of that annoying estate tax. So when you die, the government's not going to come over and steal your inheritance from you that your parents worked for or you passed down on to your children. You're not going to steal your income if you even had a chance to spend it, which is nice. And frankly, I think 23% is relatively fair if we stop sending money to Ukraine, Pakistan, sending it to other just wonderful countries which are definitely not funneling money back to the U.S. into organizations like Act Blue so they can fundraise more Democrats who then send more money to Ukraine, etc. But regardless of how that's going, what's important to know is that this act altogether, adding a 23% base tax on the use of consumption items within the United States on property and services, is significantly better than the way we currently work things. Because the gas tax is separate and priced differently than your tax on goods and services, such as, say you go to a restaurant, you buy a meal. That tax on those two are completely separate. Your tax on your clothes and your food items, those can differ. It's difficult for companies to keep track of this. It's difficult for the consumer to keep track of things. How do you track everywhere you go and how much money you're spending on taxes if everything you spend money on is being taxed at a different rate? Your property taxes are different, your income taxes are different, your sales taxes are different, your gas taxes are different, etc. It's hard to keep track of how much the government's stealing from you. But with that being said, generally speaking, the government takes about 60% of your income in total with taxes, whether that's through income tax, sales tax, property tax, etc. 60% of that ends up going straight to the government, and only 40% of that do you see and do you get to keep and spend and go places. Does it actually go to the person you're spending money to? Does it actually get to be spent on goods? Does it actually get to be spent on houses, etc.? So when this house passes this vote and it makes it down to the Senate, and the Senate votes against it, and the media claims that this tax revision and abolishing the IRS and eliminating the income taxes, all to benefit the rich, all it is just, it's bull. It's a lie. The government doesn't want to give up their money. The government doesn't lower taxes. They don't want to give up their money. They don't want to give up your money. They want to keep taxing you. So as much as the media is going to claim otherwise, it's important to remember that it is a lie, and that in the end, this elimination of the IRS, elimination of the income tax, as much as they want to claim it's going to benefit the rich, it's not. It's going to benefit you, the individual, the common man, the working man. And frankly, that's all I got for today. So thank you for watching. Share, like, and subscribe, of course. Thank you guys. I'll see you later.